All right, before we get to the Christopher Wray stuff, which I'm going to get to here in just a moment, let's talk about something that is really, really, really wonderful. I was thinking about this last night. I was talking about it with my wife, and we had the Daniel Penny acquittal yesterday. We've had the Donald Trump election. There have been little story after little story after little story out there. There's something good happening, not just here in America, not just with the White House or things like that. There's something good in the air. Don't you feel it? I feel it. And I was sitting around, again, I was having a discussion with her, and I was just kind of working it through my mind. What is happening? What am I seeing? And here's what it is. And this will tie us directly into Christopher Wray, getting ready to resign, things like that. We're watching a contraction by the system, by the communists, by the evil people out there. A contraction. Here's the best way I can describe what that means. A contraction. Have you ever, you know what boxing is, obviously. Probably you've seen boxing at some point in time in your life. And if you watch enough boxing, you'll see something from time to time, a fighter who's used to punching a lot. He punches a lot, punches high, punches low, left, right, punches a lot. But he goes up against a counter puncher and keeps getting burnt every time he punches. Every time he punches, he throws that left, catches one in the ribs. Throws that right, gets smacked upside of the head. And what happens is after enough pain, after he gets counterpunched enough times, he just stops punching for a while because it hurts too bad. Now, he's going to start punching again, and we'll get to that with the system here in a little bit, but he's going to start punching again. But for a while, it hurts so much that he really can't do much but dance around the ring and block whatever he can block. We had a long period there. I would say maybe the start of the Obama era, but we had years and years and years there where the communists in this country were on the offense and they had all of the cultural momentum. And you saw it everywhere. You saw more radical change in this country in the last 10, 15 years than people had seen since the 60s in this country. Just radical change after radical change, and none of them good. Everything kind of seemed to be going against us. Why did it always seem that way? We're losing corporate America. We can't even watch a decent TV show anymore. The movies are all gay. Well, what happened was the communists, feeling pretty good in the ring, started punching and landing a lot. And momentum, as it built, caused them to keep punching and keep punching. And then COVID came, and then they were really masters of everything. They just got to embrace total tyranny. You do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. And then St. George Floyd dies, and then they really ramp it up even more. The animals were in the streets. Woo, I'm going to Foot Locker. But then something happened. And I don't think it was just one thing. You don't ever want to boil it down to just one thing. Something turned, something changed. And the people of this country, and really this is global, the people of a lot of the Western nations started to chafe against it. Started to say, that's too far. I don't like that. Oh, wait a minute, you're going too far there. Hold on, I don't like that. And we started punching back. And the Trump election was a big indication of it. That was a huge, probably the biggest one, but you're starting to see it everywhere. It seems like the system got counterpunched a few too many times, and they're contracting. And you should put a smile on your face about it. Christopher Wray came out last night. He's going to be resigning his post at the FBI. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out why Christopher Wray is resigning at the FBI, because he's about a month away, give or take, from getting fired by Donald Trump. Doesn't want the stain, the disgrace of being fired. And before we get into little Christopher Wray's greatest hits, let's make sure we understand that Christopher Wray resigning, losing his post, is not near enough. It is not justice at all. Taking over the Federal Bureau of Investigation and turning it into the Stasi against your political opponents is a crime. Christopher Wray has committed criminal acts, many of them against the citizens of this country. A resignation is a good step one. Let's go to the highlight tape on Christopher Wray.
How many illegal FISA queries have occurred under your leadership of the FBI?
Well, there are reports that have come out with different numbers about compliance incidents.
More than 1 million illegal ones? Because that's what the Inspector General said. The Inspector General said that in the 3.4 million of these queries, more than 1 million were in error. Do you have any basis to disagree with that assessment by the Inspector General?
I'm not sure actually that's a correct characterization of the Inspector General's findings on that.
Well, the internet will remind you of that in moments.
Our focus is on malign foreign disinformation, that is foreign hostile actors who engage in covert efforts to abuse our social media platforms, which is something that is not seriously in dispute.
I have to stop you for time. That's not accurate. You need to read this court opinion because you're in charge of enforcing it. Elvis Chan testified under oath in charge of this for you. He said 50%. He had a 50% success rate in having alleged election disinformation taken down or censored. That wasn't just foreign adversaries, sir. That was American citizens. How do you answer for that?
Well, first off, I'm not sure that's a correct characterization.
Comes right out of the opinion. You should read it.
Of his testimony. But what I would say is the FBI is not in the business of moderating content. As you know, this is a very active, ongoing investigation, and there are some restrictions on that. But we
can handle classified information, and we fund your department, and so you need to provide that.
It's not. Respectfully, it's not an issue of classification.
People trusted the FBI more when J. Edgar Hoover was running the place than when you are. And the reason is because you don't give straight answers. You give answers that later a court deems aren't true. And then at the end of the day, you won't criticize an obvious shakedown when it's directly in front of us. And it appears as though you're whitewashing the conduct of corrupt people.
Respectfully, Congressman, in your home state of Florida, the number of people applying to come work for us and devote their lives working for us is up over 100%.
We're deeply proud of them, and they deserve better than you.
That was but a taste. Christopher Wray sent the FBI after angry school board parents because Merrick Garland told him to. Christopher Wray set up a bunch of poor schlubs for assassinating or trying to kidnap and assassinate the governor of Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. You remember that whole crooked scheme. Christopher Wray raided Mar-a-Lago. Christopher Wray arrested pastors, pro-lifers. Christopher Wray covered for the Bidens at every turn. In fact, he's the reason that Joe Biden ever won the White House to begin with. Christopher Wray resigning is not even close to justice. Christopher Wray resigning to go work on this corporate board and that corporate board and bring in $5 million a year, flying on private jets the rest of his life is not justice when you've taken over the top federal law enforcement arm and you have used it against your political opponents and to protect Democrats. Resignations aren't enough, and that's not what this country needs. It's time for people like Christopher Wray and Elvis Chan and others to go to federal prison. Which brings me to Chuck Grassley. I am seeing a lot of celebration over what Chuck Grassley did yesterday. In case you haven't seen, I have the letter here. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you're welcome to. It's all available for free online. This is, as you can see, a fairly long letter from one Chuck Grassley, ranking member of the Committee on Budget. Kind of a big deal, right? And he sends a letter. Of course, he opens it up talking about how 7 years ago, I supported you. But now he's lost confidence in Christopher Wray. Okay? Well, that's good. I'm glad you sent that letter, Chuck. So Christopher Wray was about to be fired. Even if he didn't resign, Christopher Wray was about to be fired. He took over the Stasi. He used his power in the Stasi to attack the American people for 7 years, Chuck. And for 7 years, this letter was nowhere to be found. Hold on, let me check the date again. Yep, December 9th. Wow, look at that. December 9th, 2024, Chuck Grassley sent a letter. Christopher Wray is already resigning. Why now? Where were you when we needed you? Oh, I know Chuck Grassley sees the contraction of the system, and now he's going to act like Mr. Tough Guy, going to hold the FBI in check. But Chuck, 7 years of abuse. This letter was Nowhere. Where were you? I'm tired of this, man. I'm tired of the followers we have who are our elected politicians. I'm tired of them always coming in a day late and $1 short. The school board moms didn't need a letter on December 9th, 2024, Chuck. They needed your help when it mattered. The pro-lifers being sent to federal prison didn't need a letter on December 9th, 2024, Chuck. They needed you when it mattered. Donald Trump, his family, had FBI agents rifling through his wife's underwear drawer. They didn't need a letter on December 9th, 2024. They needed you back when it mattered. And back when it mattered, Chuck, you were nowhere to be seen. Pathetic. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.